3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel, and today's unboxing, build and review is on the Anycubic Kobra Pro. This was kindly sent over from Anycubic for me to review, but all my thoughts today will be solely mine, and I haven't been paid for this video apart from the video sponsor, which is PCBWay, and we'll hear from them in a minute. So we'll do a quick unboxing, have a look at some of the items in here. We'll build it and then we'll do some prints on it and we'll see what it's like. And if I get time at the end of the video, I may even do a comparison with the Kobra 2, which I have just over there. And we'll do a side by side and see what sort of improvements they've made. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, 3DP UK Tech Channel. And a quick word from our sponsor now, PCBWay.com. PCBWay are a PC board manufacturer, but not only PCBs, they do PCB prototyping, PCB assembly, FPC and rigid flex, advanced PCBs, and even CNC and 3D printing. The site's very easy to use. It also has bioprotection, worldwide delivery, and all sorts of other great additions. As you can see, they have competitions and all sorts of different projects that you can carry out. So check out PCBWay.com, which is today's video sponsor, PCBWay.com. Right. Thanks to PCBWay again for sponsoring today's video, and thank you to Anycubic for sending over this Kobra Pro for me to review. So let's have a quick unboxing of what's in here, and we'll then go over onto the build and see how that fares. So I always find that Anycubic send their packaging in quite secure boxes, which is always a really good thing when you're purchasing these sort of items. The actual packaging is always top notch. Okay, so we'll move that out of the way. So once again, they've opted for the flexi build plate. Really quite like this sort of build plate. I always have a few issues to begin with, but give it a little wash off with some soap, dry it off and spray some 3D lac. It's perfect every time. Okay, so let's just move that out. So in here we have the user manual from them, multiple languages, easy to set up guide, some QR codes for support, and basically just how-to guide. Next out of the box is another Anycubic Kobra Pro quick start guide. So this is a bit of a quick start guide, so if you're a bit more au fait with builds, that's something for you. Bag of goodies, let's have a quick look at that. So once again, a free spool of filament. It's in black, so it's not as bad. Normally if you send white over, it's not that great, but we won't use that. It tends to be put in a pile. Certificate of conformity check. Nozzle cleaner, which is always really good to see. Some cable ties. Filament run out sensor. Some spanners, as you can see here. Then we've got a spare nozzle, which is always quite good to see, but to be honest with you, depending on actually how that looks, I probably won't ever use that. I tend to swap the whole of the head over at once. So these look like the bolts for the frame, and then a few smaller ones for probably the screen. We have a USB here, so we can plug directly into the actual, because it's on the Kobra 2, it has 3 USB ports, so you can use it for this directly, so you haven't got to take out an SD card. You can also Wi-Fi on this one, and you can connect via USB-C, but you can also connect up your time-lapse cameras if you want to, which is really good. Last few items, so Allen keys, which we'll need. Some clips, I'm guessing for the printing head. A few more cable ties, so we won't take those out, and some lubricant, not edible, probably a great disclaimer. So using that for the Z-rods. So yeah, that's everything out of the smaller bag. So we have for me, it's the UK rated plug socket. And then next out of the box is the upper frame. As you can see, heavily cable tied on both sides, so we'll snip those. Your printing head doesn't come attached, you'll have to attach that, but it's quite simple. Just drops into place and then locks on. As you can see at the back, we have the single Z motor on a timing belt and a double Z rod, but you've got some backlash nuts on there, which is good to see. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is a dual Z motor on that, but with the timing belt, which is slightly loose, so we may need to tighten that up. Shouldn't be too difficult to do. We'll go through that. So that's the main frame, and then you've got the feed for the filament. So we'll put that to one side. Next out of the box is the side spool. Not a real lover of side spools because it takes up a wider footprint. I prefer to have top loading, but it's pretty standard for the Anycubic Kobra. And then the rest of the spool, which clips on like so, nice and easy. And say the actual setup is very much like the Kobra 2. Plenty of foam, always too much foam, but you know, it's obviously safer. So very much like the Kobra 2, the Kobra Max, Kobra Max 2, and all the new versions of the Kobras, it's the 4.3 colour touch screen. Yeah, not much you can say about that, but the firmware I'm hoping should be a lot easier to use. And then we have the printing head with the 520 fans on there, direct feed with the bowden tube to actually allow the connection up to the main frame. Yeah, so we've got the push fit to allow the filament to push through, and then the touch sensor there. The blower looks pretty decent as well. So that's the actual printing head. I must say a lot of improvements made since my early reviews of like the Kobra Max and stuff like that. So a lot more beefier. So we can connect that up in a minute. So it's looking like we are near the last sort of stage. So we'll take that bit out. Lots of foam in between the bed to stop that moving. And then we have the actual bed itself. They've sellotaped the cable for the screen. Yeah, so must say quite a solid design. They've got the belt tensioners again on the frame and on the bed, which is good to see. Much like the Kobra 2, the touch sensor for the leveling, and then the white nozzle, and then some cables. We've got the on-off switch on the side, the power cable. Let's have a look to see if it has a power rating. Yes, it does. So at the back, just under the motor here, you'll select your rating for your country, whichever is appropriate for you. And then at the front of this, you've got the triple USB points. No USB-C, like I earlier said. So it's just USB connection, but this is Wi-Fi enabled. So we'll be hopefully using that. Also on the frame, you have some notches taken out of the frame itself for the actual top frame to fit in. And then at the bottom, as you can see, quite a large fan for cooling the motherboard, and then the standard Anycubic power unit. But like I say, looks fairly compact. Also, the bed's not wobbling as much as my previous reviews of other brands. This one seems to be a little bit better, but underneath there is eccentric nuts, so we can tighten those up if needed. still quite a bit of flex on the belt there, so we could tighten that up as we need to go along. There's also a QR code on there for more support if needed. So that's everything out of the box. Pretty standard for Anycubic, and yeah, so what we're going to do now, quickly build it and go from there to maybe do some prints, see what's on the actual card itself, and go from there. Yeah, so keep watching. So that's everything unboxed. I've laid it all out. We're going to connect up the frame to the bed now. Like I say, you've got these two notched out bits, so you're going to have 2 bolts on either side, but it's telling me to cut the cable ties. That's always a good thing to do to begin with. When you're cutting these cable ties, just make sure you don't snip any sort of wires that might be nearby. It's always something to be aware of. So we've snipped both of these. Take them away. I don't see any on the bed, but we'll double check them in a second. And then what we're going to do is flip it on its side and connect up the frame. So we'll skip through that part, but obviously I always find that the frame, the printing head, needs to go up. So we'll do that and then we'll connect it up. Okay, that's the 4 bolts connected, as you can see, to this side, to that side. Make sure your cables are clear. We'll move that onto its right side now, like so. As you can see, that builds the frame up. So the next step is to connect up the PEI sheet it's telling me to do. So it's just making sure that I've done that. So we'll put it in like so. It doesn't have any locating pins, which it would be better if it did, but it doesn't, so no big issue in that respect. So we've connected up the bed. The next thing it's asking me is to install the printing head, as you can see here. Should be relatively easy to fit on. So yeah, by looks of it, we have to screw on some of those parts onto these bits here. So that should be nice and easy as well. So once we've done that, we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so we've installed the printing head and that's nice and secure. So it's 2 bolts at the top and 2 bolts at the bottom. What you want to do is put the 2 bolts before you actually add the head onto the frame. Put the 2 top bolts on, and what that does is it allows you to put the printing head and it sits in its position. It's got 2 like little V slots. It just sits in there. That saves some of that hassle. Just take care with some of these push fits. So the next step, it's asking me to install the screen. So obviously the screen's going to be going on this side here, just on the front here. So what we want to do is remove this sticky tape with the screen cable. Take care with this, these are quite fragile. And move that to one side. And then what we're going to need is the 2 bolts that are here, which is the M5s. So you should have 2 of those, and we'll put this onto the front of the printer like so. This way. There we go. Let's get it right. And then that will sit at the front with the 2 bolts on the front. And then there's one at the top as well, so should be nice and easy. So we'll scoot past that, and then when we come back we'll connect up the cable, and we should be good to go. Okay, so we've added the screen. So what we want to do now is to actually put the printer cable into the back. And that just pushes in like so. Just take care with this. You don't want to force it. and then that's in. You'll hear like a click, so that's nice and secured now. So we're going to go over to the next step now, which should be to connect up the filament runout sensor. So we'll do that now. We'll turn it to this side. So this is the filament runout sensor, as you can see here. And we're going to connect that up. And it looks like it basically fits on the inside here somewhere. So we'll go through that bit and connect it up. Okay, so what we want to do is connect up the bowden tube to the connection point here. So push fit, just push that in. Doesn't need to go all the way, so you can take it back if it goes too far. Just push it in like so. And then we're going to connect up the filament runout sensor. It already has the bolt, so you don't need to worry about that. There's a direction arrow on there. You want to make sure that that's obviously going in the right direction. Match up the hole to the existing hole there. Make sure you have the correct Allen key to do that. In my case, I didn't. Yeah, and then that just tightens up like so, and it should align with the bowden tube, which it does. And there we go. You could potentially push that a bit closer so there's a little bit less gap. I don't see too much of an issue with that. So that's the bowden tube connected and the filament runout sensor. So let's go to the next step, which is to install the spool holder on the side. So obviously the spool holder is going to be on this side, but to be honest with you, I'll probably do that last. I don't think it really needs to go on. That could be done at any time. So what we're going to go to do now is the wiring loom. So the first thing that we need to connect up, so all of the wiring is over on this side, as you can see. All of these ones are already connected apart from here. So we'll work out where that goes. The motor's all connected, the proximity switch is connected, so I'm assuming this must be for the Z1 motor, which it is. So we'll connect up that one first. Like anything, when you push it on, don't force it. So that's connected. Like I say, there's only one motor on this. Undo the cabling from its cable tie, and we want to make sure that it's nice and secure. So the first thing we want to do on the wiring list is the filament runout sensor. Now we know that that's on the middle of the printer head cable. So this is for the actual printer head and the X motor, and then these are labeled up clearly for whatever we need it for. So the first one on here, it's saying X, E, and then X. Let's make sure we get this right. Okay, so we want to connect up the E to here, to the filament runout sensor. Once again, just pushes on, just be careful not to put too much effort into that. And then the X one is the X axis motor. So that's on here. Make sure you get the right one, which is just under here. Push that in like so, and then you have this cable here, which we need to connect, which is the P cable. That's pretty easy to connect once you get the right way, and that goes in like that, and that just push fits like so. And then the last one is the X motor proximity switch, which we'll try and find that now. And so the proximity switch cable goes underneath, that just pushes in. So that's all of these cables. So we've got the proximity switch, we've got the X motor, we've got the PE, and then we've also got the the motor and the proximity switch and the run out sensor. So that's all of those on there. The next thing it's asking is to run the cable. So do not run it through the frame. You want to run it over the top here. So if we're looking at it from the front, you want the cable here to go around the front. Don't go around the back. It's going to get trapped. You want to go through the front. So we've only got 2 cables here. Should be really simple to do. We'll do the main one. It's actually got a stress holder on there to stop it putting any pressure. So what we'll do is we'll fit up that now. And that should just clip in like so, and then it locks into place. Then what you want to do is push down the actual cable holder, and that just fits over the top, and what that does is it locks it into place like so. And yeah, that seems to have done the job. And then we're just, the last thing to do is the extruder motor. Let's connect up that, and then that's it. We do have some cable tidies also. Let's use those, and that's these ones here. To be fair, these the type of things we used to print. Used to get them from Thingiverse. It used to be cable, like a flexi cable, and I hated that. They've obviously looked at how people have sort of developed better ways of doing things, and just fits over like so, and then this fits in and clips in. So we'll do all 3 of those just so it's nice and tidy. So we'll speed through that bit. And there we have it. So everything's connected up now on the head as well. So probably going to have to work out how this connects up properly so that we can make sure it's nice and secure. And then once it clips into place, we know that it's ready to go. That should be fairly easy. Yeah, so that's everything in terms of the wiring. Said about connecting up that, which we've done. Secure the cables at the indicated positions using cable ties, which we'll do in a second, and then check before use. So we want to check that the eccentric nuts are okay. So there's a bit of a wobble on that, so using the supplied spanners we can quickly do that now. So it's at the bottom on this. So what we're going to do is tighten it. We can loosen it so that we can show you, so you can see that that's really extreme, the loosen on that. Just tighten it up and make sure you don't want to over tighten it, because obviously then you'll get significant wear. Obviously these wheels are a lot better. They're a lot easier to use. And then, so it's about right. And then the bed's pretty good as well, so I don't think we need to do too much with that. Let's just double check. Just give it a little bit of a tighten. I think it's always best to be sure. And then do the back, so there should be 2 on that. Quite easy to tip. Like so. There's a bit of a knock. So this is really key to make sure the eccentric nuts are tightened properly. It's always best to sort of move the bed in a position you can access it a lot easier. It's probably best to do it from the front. They're only on one side, so fit your spanner in like so, tighten it up, and make sure it's fairly even, and then that's better. So now you can see both the bed, there's no knock on that, and then the printing head. There's no knock on that. But also don't forget that it also has it on the frame, so on the wheels, check that they're spinning. So on my case, they are spinning quite freely, so we do need to do the frame. And what you want to do is just make sure that this is nice and square, and then tighten up like so until you can feel it bite and the wheels aren't moving by themselves. It needs to only be a certain, and there we go. That's nice and secure. So we're secure all the way around now, and that's what you really want. So we've done that as well. So all of the cables are connected, the frame's connected, the screen's connected, printing head's connected, and we've done all the eccentric nuts. The next thing to do is to do the belts. This one's not too bad, but if you want to change it, you've got the twist knob at the front. You want to hear just like a bit of a twang. You'll get used to what you would deem as appropriate. And then on this one here, slightly more awkward to check because the belt's actually on the inside of the frame now, which is slightly more awkward to do. You can just tighten that up as and when required. The last step that we need to double check is that the power rating is appropriate for my country, and you would need to do the same for yours depending on your location. In my case, this is set at 230, so I'm okay. I don't need to change that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to power it on. Just check that everything seems to be working as intended, like so. And it automatically come on, which was a bit strange. Seems to be like a bit of a delay on the screen at the moment, but it's loading up, so shouldn't take too long. So yeah, the first thing you'll notice it does is it comes up with asking me what language. So obviously select English. Next. We're global, we're not in China. Select next. So we're not going to set up the network Wi-Fi as it stands right now, so we're just going to skip that. And it's got the Anycubic freedom to make choices. Enjoy your 3D printing, which we always do. Start operation guide, yes. So it's asking me now to connect up the USB, insert the U disc into the correct according to the diagram. So let's check that. It should say on here. Okay, so insert the U-disc correctly according to the diagram. We're going to connect it up into here, like so, and then click next, and then it's going to do some testing. So right now it's doing the X-axis detection, so it's just checking that that's connected and there's no issues. Now it's doing the Y, which is the bed, just checking the Z, and now it's going to do a Z-axis detection, so that the frame's going down with the head. It should trigger the detection on that. Okay, so that's finished. That's the self-test. The next bit is the preheating the nozzle. So it's going to preheat the nozzle, and then it's going to wipe the nozzle at the back. So while that's heating, we can make sure. So right now it's heating up to 60 degrees on the nozzle. The bed's not heating at the moment, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so what it did was actually heat up the bed, which is why it took slightly longer. So the bed's at 60 degrees now, and now the nozzle's heating up to 210, which you can hear the fan kicking. So this is a 520 fan. And then what it'll do is wipe the nozzle at the back. We don't have any filament on it at the moment, so then it will do a probe test with the probe just on the left here. So now it's moving into position to wipe the nozzle. I quite like the fact that it goes through all these initial setup stages for you, gives you like a tip guide all the way along. So the initial setup, so it checks all the proximity switches. Now it's doing like a wipe test, which it should do at any moment now. And now it's wiping the nozzle at the back on the little pad, and then it's going to do a probe test. So it's done the wipe test, now it's going to do the probe test. So it's going to go through a 49-point probe test. So once that's complete, we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so that completed the probe test. Now it's telling me to click finish. So now it's asking me to load filament. So I'm going to have to connect up the filament holder, and that goes on the opposite side. So we'll do that and then we'll come back to the next step. Okay, so I've added the filament and now it's going to do a resonance detection. So it's going to move sideways and basically test the vibration. The table that I've got this on at the moment isn't the most stable of tables, to be honest with you, so it may need to be redone when I house it in its proper location, but it's giving you an idea of the type of things that it's going to be doing, the noise it's going to make, so you can hear that, the vibration now. So it's going to go through different stages and different sounds and frequencies. So yeah, once that's complete, we'll go on to the next step. And as you can hear, the frequency is getting slightly louder now. Okay, so that's complete. So we're going to click finish, and once it's done, we'll see what the next steps are. Okay, so now it's doing the movement of the bed. So it'll vibrate the bed. This is probably where the table will probably vibrate. And as you can hear. Okay, so everything's done now. I've connected up the filament and bled that through. So to do that, go to settings, and then you've got some selections. So the first one you want to do is select PLA, so that will hit up the nozzle. The second one will be to click on filament, and you can select how much you can extrude or retract if you're taking it out. Push the filament through the bowden tube, and then you have like a pull switch in here that just accepts it into the direct extruder. You can, like I say, select how much filament you want to extrude, and then click extrude, and it comes out. Once you've done that, then we can go on and do a test print. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to see how it comes out. So that's everything in terms of unboxing and the build itself, and then the initial calibration of the printer itself. It's all done via this U-disc, so it asks you to connect up that before you do anything, so make sure you've done that. We'll do the test model, we'll do a time lapse of that, and then we'll come back and have a look over it again and maybe put our own slice on there and see how that fares. So that's the Anycubic Kobra 2 Pro. That's the initial build, and we'll go through the rest of the video and see how it fares. So as you can see, there's quite a little bit of noise on the movement, but this is in standard speed, so I think it's about 300 mms. That's what I programmed it in. So right now I'm printing a controller holder, or you get a headphone stand, whichever you want to use it for. So overall, this was a slice file. The movement on the actual machine is probably the fact that it's on an unstable surface, and it seems to be doing really well. The flexible build plate is pretty decent. Overall, the screen UI, really impressed with that. The fact that it shows the model on there now. The Z offset, like I said, I have done the firmware update, and that you can do it in 0.01 now. All the previous models were still on this setting, so it's good to be able to make even finer adjustments without sort of modifying the firmware yourself. Like I say, standard speed at the moment, potentially could probably go down for a more stable print. As you can see, you can make these changes during the print itself, and that should slow down after sort of one movement, and then there you go, slightly more stable now, especially if you've got fragile prints like these sort of things here. Quite easy to sort of come away. So this one's the robot hand. As you can see, it's quite fragile on these bits here. Overall, gives you details of the percentage, how long it's been printed for, how long the print is actually for up there, which is a bit more information than previous, your fan speed, and that you can turn off the filament change if you want. So the code in G-code that you put in your slicer, you can actually program it to change colour, and it will stop and it will wait for you to do it. Obviously it's not automatic. Yeah, so overall, very impressed with the Anycubic Kobra 2 Pro. Very easy to use. Like I say, the slicer was, the profile that come with it was perfect. Made a few slight adjustments, but like you do with anything. Really impressed with the multiple USB slots. So right now I'm time-lapsing. Everything else, yeah, really impressive. In my next video, I'm going to be putting the Kobra 2 and the Kobra 2 Pro together, maybe slice a file that's identical and just keep the speeds the same, and just see what the quality's like, and maybe compare some of the spring details and some of the features that the Kobra 2 Pro, and then maybe help you guys decide on what would be the best purchase, and if you already have the Kobra 2, whether it would be worth upgrading or whether just to stick as it is. But overall, yeah, that's it from this video. So that's Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you to today's video sponsor, PCBWay, and thank you to Anycubic for sending me this to review, and I look forward to bringing more content soon. Okay, take care everyone. Phil from 3DP UK.
3, 2, 1.